Hello, my name is Randall Crouch and I have been practicing mental health counseling since 2005. After I became a licensed mental health counselor in 2009, I opened my first private practice helping clients cope with the dynamics of life. I have experience treating mood disorders, anxiety and depression, if you will, addictions, relationship issues, yeah, I'm a marriage counselor, severe and persistent mental illness, things like schizophrenia, severe bipolar disorder, chronic depression, those types of things. Trauma, PTSD, and treating personality disorders. I created this channel as a means to educate people on the benefits of implementing positive mental health practices in their lives. These brief lessons are not intended to replace or act as mental health counseling and are only for informational and educational purposes. Okay, let's take a look at this slide. Life is dynamic. Dynamic simply means that it's always changing, it's in flux, all right? Anyone that doesn't think that is fooling themselves. We're always changing, we're not stagnant. Your counselors will tell you not to be stagnant. Change, roll with changes, do those things. I wrote in this slide, life is dynamic, otherwise it would be boring. Sometimes life gives you lemons, especially when you're not in the mood for lemons, or maybe you hate lemons, I don't know. But that's the nature of dynamics. Things change, good, bad, or neutral. Once we understand that, it's easier to accept those things that happen. Your views directly affect whether the dynamics cause joy, suffering, or simply a shrug of the shoulders. So what I mean by that is what happened to you causing you distress, depression, anxiety, those types of things. Is it causing you laughter, joy, smiles, those types of things? Or is it just like, just another thing? I tell my kid clients, there are 3 types of people in the world. But this also kind of applies to, there are 3 types of things that can happen to you in the world. The first type of person, if you will, is a diamond ring. Diamond rings are shiny, they have value, we want to show them off, we want to protect them and keep them safe. Makes sense? You have diamond rings in your life. And the cool thing about diamond rings is that they typically will see you as their diamond ring as well. They want to protect you, you have value to them, they want to show you off, they want to keep you safe. Okay. The next kind of ring is a plastic ring, like what you got when you were a kid and you got out of the gumball machine or it was on a cupcake. It was cool. You played with it for a little bit, maybe you lost it, maybe you broke it, I don't know. But you don't really give it much thought. There's not a lot of value to it. There's not a lot of need to protect it in that sense. Most of the people you interact with in your daily life are plastic rings. They come and go. The clerk at the grocery store, the mail carrier, people like that. You don't want anything bad to happen to them, but you kind of like, whatever. You might hear, oh, Bill the mail carrier passed away. Oh, that's sad. And you move on with your life, okay? The other type of person, I believe this holds true for the types of stuff that can happen to us, is what I call a fake diamond ring. And fake rings look shiny and they look nice, but they turn your finger green and maybe they break it out in a rash and maybe the fake diamond loses its luster or even falls out. They don't have value. They present with value, but then they don't. Those are the kind of people we want to avoid, obviously. In terms of the things that life throws at us, we need to understand that, is this just a bad thing? Is it just a bad ring, or is it something that I'm choosing time after time after time? And I'll get into that later in this presentation. All right. One of my favorite authors, the late, great Thich Nhat Hanh, wrote a tremendous amount of books on Buddhism in particular. I want to just a caveat here, I'm not a Buddhist, but I do follow a lot of the practices because I found that, it's that old saying that if you want to go to if you have a heart problem, you go to a cardiologist, you see the specialist. If you have a mindfulness problem, you go to a specialist. That's the Buddhist. They're masters at it, typically. So he says, people suffer because they're caught in their views. As soon as we release those views, we're free and we don't suffer anymore. So, what do I mean by that? Okay, We've all heard the saying, when life gives you lemons, make limoncello. I'm kidding, it's make lemonade, but I live in Italy, so it's limoncello. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy. Often it's not even possible to turn a bad thing into a good thing. First, we need to understand that any significant change to our routine will take time to get used to. It takes the average person 2 to 3 weeks to adjust to a new routine. You move into a new house, think about it. It doesn't feel like you're home until you've been there a couple of weeks. Maybe even 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks for some people. In that time period, though, we have readapted our view and accepted the new normal. Next, we need to extract any lessons from the change and implement those lessons into our lives. I planned on starting this channel last week, but I managed to get injured. I literally split my head open, my scalp open like a coconut, like it's about that long. You can still see some of the butterflies. I've got stitches in there. This is nasty. So I said, my wife was asking me about this channel. I said, listen, I don't want to go on because I don't want to look bad on camera. And she said, listen, you got to push through and do this because people need this help. So it made me ponder my own view in this microcosm, if you will, of what does it matter what I look like? What's more important is that you get this information and you can start to implement it right away. And I'm good, by the way. Thanks for asking. The next thing I want to present is what I call lessons in flexibility. Being flexible helps us adapt to the changes in life, to the dynamics of life. So, in this slide, you can see, how can you easily flex with the changes life throw at you? The best way to flex is to embrace the moment and recognize the impermanence of the situation. Impermanence is simply stating that nothing lasts forever. We realize that typically on a grand scale. I won't be here forever, okay? We don't typically realize it in that split-second moment. The moment I just told you that is gone. It's no longer here. Now we're in this moment, and that moment's gone now. And I know it can get really confusing. I get it. Once you master that, though, life gets a lot easier. Is joy really obtainable? Joy is obtainable in the moment joy is presented. So again, we go back to that mindfulness mindset. If I'm having a joyful moment, then I'm happy in that moment. I just need to embrace that. Life is not always good or bad or neutral, it's dynamic. So we understand the impermanence of any emotions can help you truly savor the positive emotions. How can I be happy when it's one bad thing after another? All right. I hear this from clients quite often. They will say, my life is like a train wreck and another train is barreling down the same track. All right. One of the harshest truths that I fear most counselors, friends, and family members are not willing to tell you is that your choices have consequences. Some people have never learned how to make positive choices. Some of the consequences of their choices are lifelong. Others are short-lived. And yet others seem to invite their friends, guilt and shame, over to join the party, which can lead to further poor decision-making. You have to learn how to live a mindful life, to stop, think, and act, and implement effective decision-making in your life. Releasing your views. How can I simply release my views? Isn't that what makes me who I am? It can be difficult to accept that your views are keeping you from emotional freedom. And we've already discussed that change does not come easily and takes time. I taught my kids to question everything, to dive into their beliefs and either eliminate and change them or retain and bolster them based on the best information available at the time. This means that these beliefs need to be reassessed as the information changes or if it changes. For over 1,500 years, the common held belief was that Earth was the center of the universe. New information came along in 1543 that changed that view. You don't know what you don't know, but when that changes, you need to adapt your views. Your views are not what make you. You. Personality comes from our self-esteem building blocks. Those things that only you can add or you can take away from your being. I'm going to address this deeper in a later module. Will I really find peace even in suffering when I manage to release my views? When your focus is mindfulness and mindful living, it's easier to find and maintain peace. Shifting your viewpoint to a mindful viewpoint helps you attain peace. Living mindfully. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is living in the split-second moment of life. You are here and now only. The past is an illusion, and the future is yet to be. Mindfulness prevents you from dwelling in the past or the future and makes you focus on what is right in front of you. This is where we find peace. Anxiety and fear live in the past or the future. Peace lives in the split-second moment. How is mindful living different from what I am doing? The answer to this question goes back to changing and time. Even a master of mindfulness will tell you that they're still working to achieve perfect mindful living, which may not be possible. Just my thoughts on that. Implementing and embracing mindful living takes time and patience. When you have a setback, or if you have a setback, you reset yourself, you get back into your mindful living. It's not the end of the world. Is mindfulness truly attainable? Right. I kind of just said it's not, but I'm not sure because I'm still working on it. Personally been practicing mindful living for about 15 years. I think I'm pretty good at it, but do I have setbacks? Absolutely. And I have reminders set around me to pull me back to my baseline. The late great Thich Nhat Hanh encouraged us in his book, Peace is Every Step, to quote unquote, find your bell. The bell is the thing or things that occur throughout the day that you can use to reset your mindfulness. One of the examples that I give is that when I'm driving and there's a lot of traffic in particular, or I'm trying to get from point A to point B and I'm on a deadline, and that anxiety starts to build because I'm not living mindfully. When I get to a stoplight in particular, I will purposely look at the stoplight and try to count the LEDs in there. I'm looking at the light, right? I'm counting the LEDs, the light turns green, I look and I go. So I'm not in a daze, I'm not spacing out or any of that. I'm bringing myself back into a mindful moment to make me not worry about whether or not I'm going to be late, whether or not I should have left earlier, the past, the future, etc. I'm in that moment and I'm just doing something, using a bell to remind me to be here, be now. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoy these episodes. I'm going to crank one out a week. They're going to be brief. I hope you like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.